It's not about politics, it's about football.
This is a simple game.
We're going to run the ball, and we're going to pass the ball. We're just going to play football, really.
How good of a football player are you?
I just get in and try to spin it. That's all.
I just love the game.
It really is the best time of the year.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to It's Just Football. I'm Trevor Sikkema. That is Mike Renner joining you guys on a mock draft Wednesday, baby. It's time to get to our first full 2023 mock draft. We're unleashing it on the people here, Mike. We've done a top 10. We did the top 20. Now we're going all 31 picks. 31 picks. Shout out to Miami Dolphins for giving us 31 instead of 32. How we feeling today, Mike? I know you got a workout in at the beginning of the day. I saw you pumping the pre-workout in there. Is the pre-workout still flowing here for the show?
It is. We did 3 scoops just to make sure we had enough ready for an hour of mock draft madness.
3 scoops?
Yeah, 3 scoops. Come on.
You're an animal. You're an animal.
It was back day.
I mean, you do. Look. You do have to get the pre-workout for back day. I agree with you there. I'm excited about this, man. We've obviously set the table a little bit getting into this point. We've done the top 5. We've done the top 10. Obviously, we will do that working up to the full first round. But this gives us a full look at what the first round could be. And since the draft order is ever-changing as we are still in the season, that's also a lot of fun looking at different scenarios. But I will say, here as we are on the eve of the month of December, order's kind of getting solidified a little bit here, especially at the very top. So we're getting a good look and getting a good preview of where a lot of these prospects can go. So it's good. I'm excited to get it going.
Yeah, I'm very excited because Green Bay Packers draft number 8 overall.
Ooh, when's the last time?
Number 8 overall.
When's the last time?
When's the last time? I think it was A.J. Hawk, 2006.
Oh,
was the last time they drafted that high.
And you're a draft guy.
I know.
And you've never had like a top 15
Never really
pick for
had one for the Packers, so now I'm excited for that. If there's any silver lining to the season, it's that for the Packers.
Quinn, what happened the last time the Bengals picked in the top 5?
They got a couple good players.
Yeah, they got a couple of good players.
Kind of like to Mike's point, like right when I started at PFF, I started in 2018. That was like right when the Bengals started to get like horrifically bad again. So it was cool during the draft season because like all those years they were picking in the top 10.
Yeah, and the Browns got Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, Browns did get Baker Mayfield, largely in part. Maybe PFF.
That is what makes the draft great, right? It's like you could get Baker Mayfield with that number 1 overall pick, or you could get Joe Burrow. Your franchise could change drastically with that guy, and it's a lottery ticket is how I like to describe it. It's a lottery ticket. Sometimes that lottery ticket has some good odds. Sometimes that lottery ticket's a long shot, but it's a lottery ticket nonetheless, and it's hope nonetheless.
We're going to try to make sure that we hit every single lottery ticket here as we go through this full first round mock draft. Shout out to everybody who's watching the show, getting in on it live. If you're watching afterwards, what's up? Get in the comment section. We'd love to hear from you, whether it's about your team's picks, whether it's a different team's picks, whatever it is. We would love to hear from you guys here. We do have a stipulation on this mock draft as well because we want to get the chat involved, and we're putting our mock draft expertise to the test because what Mike and I are going to do is we're going to go back and forth. We're going to do odds and evens for the mock draft, but then every 5th pick, we're going to give it to you guys. We're going to give it to you guys, and you guys are going to be able to make the selection. The people. Yeah. So we're going to give you guys a chance to get in on the mock draft as well. We're going to have you be able to improve all of these different teams. We'll have you vote in the chat so the chat gets the majority so we can see what prospects you want to pick. And that kind of throws a wrench into things a little bit for us because we don't know who the chat's going to take. I have a feeling I know who Mike's going to take for some of these teams, but I don't know who you guys are going to pick. So it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be good stuff. Quinn, do you have a question of the day to get us kicked off? Because we got to start with the question of the day.
Of course. How many scoops of pre-workout do we think Liver King takes?
Is this before or after? Is this before or after the mountain of steroids that he has always been taking?
Yeah, given the recent tragic news. That's not really the question of the day. Question of the day, trying to keep it draft related.
Yeah, okay.
Because last year's quarterback class struggling, not looking great. When is the last time a quarterback draft class failed to have a rookie passer eclipse 10 passing touchdowns in a single season?
Man.
Bailey Zappi's got 5. Kenny Pickett's got 3.
Bailey Zappi still leads?
It's insane.
Yeah, 3 is insane. So it's not looking good.
All right. Let's think. Maybe the last one someone didn't even start.
Right. Not getting 10 is... I mean, I immediately go to like the EJ Manuel year, right?
Yeah,
where
what was that, 14?
Yeah. He was picked
bad class.
16th,
Yeah,
right?
he was the
Something
only
like
first
that?
rounder.
Was it 14?
18, you obviously had Baker Mayfield. 19, you had Kyler. 17, you had Deshaun.
Yeah. I mean, 17,
Turbo.
you had everybody.
Turbo. Did he even?
Who's Turbo?
Trubisky.
Oh,
Right.
you just don't come on, don't come at me with one word Turbo for Mitchell Trubisky.
Did he start as a rookie though? Yeah, he did, right? But it was under John Fox.
Patrick Mahomes was in that class.
But he didn't start. As a rookie.
Yeah, you're right. He did.
So, and then Watson only played like 4 or 5 games, but he still may have gotten 10 because he was hot in those. Yeah, I think 14, 15 you had Jameis.
Right.
16 you had Goff and Wentz.
Yeah.
Wentz
that
definitely
one
did.
One. 14 feels like the one.
14 would have been
14
EJ
feels like the
Manuel.
guess.
Did he even?
Was it 14 or was it 13?
It was 13. What was 14?
14 was the crazy draft year, right? With like Von Miller, Aaron Donald, like.
No, that was 11.
Oh, you're right.
13 was the awful year. Like 13 was just terrible. Who was 14? Was 14?
Who's the quarterback?
Manziel. Then who else was in that?
Mike Evans.
It was the wide receiver year. It was 14. So it had Odell, Cooks, Evans, Watkins. Who was number 1 that year?
Clowney?
Okay, yeah, it might have been.
That was Clowney's year, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
so it might have been 14. What was the quarterback class in that one?
I still just odds alone. I say we go 13. Okay. A lot of people are guessing the 13 class as well.
Oh, 14 was Teddy. That was Teddy
Bortles.
Yeah.
Bortles.
Okay,
yes.
So,
Once you named Teddy Bridgewater, I was like, oh, Blake
Teddy
Bortles.
Bortles,
There
Carr.
you go. Okay.
All right. So I think they had it. 13 is probably where I'd go. Then 12 definitely not. 12 was insane. 11 was Newton. 10 was Bradford. 9.
No, I think it's 13.
Stafford.
I think we got to go 13.
Okay.
This is a great question today. We talked about it a little bit here. We're fleshing out. You guys are, I feel like in the chat, everybody's guessing 13 as well. So if it's not a trick question, I think it's going to be 13. Shout out to Drew Forsyth, who I see in the chat right now. He was our chat champ for yesterday. Big one here with the draft show, especially because the chat is going to get in on some of these picks here for our first round mock draft that we have for 2023. All right, Mike, you want to head over to it?
Let's do it.
I said before the show in the chat that we had a surprise for you guys. And the surprise is also that you guys are going to get in the mock, but also where we are walking right now. That is also the surprise that we have here on the show, because we have a beautiful touchscreen now to actually do mock drafts on. I am so excited about these things. The whiteboard is gone. We have changed things out, and instead we have this fully responsive, beautiful touchscreen. We've got a couple of different tabs that we've got here for this show. We've got Mock Draft Simulator. We've got the PFF Big Board here. And we also have the chat. So we'll be able to bring that up, hopefully. I know it's on a little bit of a delay here, but maybe I can refresh that and get it a little bit closer to what is actually real time, but we want to be able to pull up the chat as well for you guys, see what your guesses are.
I also just looked it up. It's not 2013.
It's not 2013?
EJ Manuel had 11.
Ooh, okay.
So that's I want to look it up because I wanted to think deeper back to see what I would go if it wasn't 13.
Okay.
But it's not 13, just so a heads up.
It's not 13. So everybody who guessed 13, it's got to be a different answer than that. All right, so we're getting into this draft order. It is the fully updated draft order right now. So this is post Monday Night Football. This is what the order looks like right now. We've got the Houston Texans at number 1, Chicago Bears at 2, Detroit Lions at 3, Seattle Seahawks at 4, Carolina Panthers at 5. That is the top 5 as it is locked in right now. I'm going to start with the odds because the Tampa Bay Buccaneers pick number 19. So I think that that's just an easy transition there. And of course, the Green Bay Packers pick number 8. So that makes it easy for us there. But should we do it every 5 for the chat, or should we?
Yeah.
You want to just do every 5?
We do 4. They get 1. We do 4. They get 1.
Okay. All right. So
Works.
We'll start at the very top because this is going to be a long exercise. Mock drafts always are anytime that you got 30 picks. So 30 plus picks. I'll start at number 1. I don't have to waste too much time on this one. I'm going with Bryce Young. Bryce Young is the obvious pick here for me. He's going to be the QB. He's going to be. I cannot imagine he's not going to be my QB1. Is probably what I should say. I shouldn't box myself in too much, but I cannot imagine that he's not going to be my QB1 when it's all said and done. Houston needs not just a great quarterback, but they also need somebody who brings all those leadership intangibles and those X factors as well. That's Bryce Young to me.
I will gladly box myself in and say he is QB1.
Okay. All
right now. It's all right. The debate's done for me. All right. Number 2. Ideally, you're the Chicago Bears. You have the number 2 overall pick. You're thinking trade. Trade back. Prime trade candidate with someone looking to move up to get one of these quarterbacks, whether it's the Panthers sitting there at number 5, maybe even the Raiders down at number 9. Just someone who has that desperation to get in one of these, Will Levis, CJ Stroud. Because that's when you get the hauls like the Colts got from the Jets in the past, like the Niners gave to the Dolphins. So that is when you get those kind of hauls. Fortunately, not the case right now, but I'm going Jalen Carter.
Okay.
DT.
Number 2 overall.
3-tech. You saw them wanting to get that 3-tech in Matt Eberflus' defense. They traded when he was in Indy for DeForest Buckner to get that guy. They tried to sign Larry Ogunjobi this offseason. Jalen Carter is as good a 3-tech prospect as you'll see. The dude is, utterly dominant on his tape at Georgia. He's going to be, he is, versus Will Anderson, they are both in that echelon of, I don't want to call them can't miss, but they're going to be high-end NFL players at their respective positions should they stay healthy, should everything go right. That's the ideal scenario for Chicago Bears.
The Chicago Bears have to get better on the defensive line, no matter what it is. I know a lot of people talk about Will Anderson potentially going to them as well, which obviously makes sense, but Jalen Carter should be in that conversation too. If you're talking about Will Anderson as a potential for one of these teams, there's a good chance that Jalen Carter should also be in that category just because of how good he is. And you can never have too many guys who are as good as Jalen Carter is and what he can do impacting the game. Detroit Lions up at number 3. By the way, I should mention, you talked about trades, potential trades here. We're using the PFF mock draft simulator. If you guys go to pff.com, you can use this exact simulator here, and we've got a little trade tab. So if you are the Chicago Bears and you want to see what a trade back scenario would be, you could do so. You can make a trade happen, and so you can move all about the draft board if you want. I'm up at number 3 with the Detroit Lions. You know, we've done mocks before. Where it's just gone QB, QB, QB. And I'm not going to have that be the case here. You didn't go QB at number 2. I'm not going to go QB at number 3.
Oh, no.
I'm not going to go QB number 3. I'm going to take Will Anderson. I'm going to take Will Anderson for the Detroit Lions. They, like the Chicago Bears, need help along the defensive line. They would love to get themselves Jalen Carter, but of course with him being off the board, I don't want to call it settling for Will Anderson, but it could be a fantastic prize for them to get at number 3 overall here in this draft. So could be QB. Obviously, we have QB as a need that is circled here for the Detroit Lions. But with another pick here in the middle of the first round, get some flexibility, maybe move up and down a little bit. I'm going to say maybe they could ride with Jared Goff a little bit more or get a quarterback later in the first round. And I'm going to say they go Will Anderson at 3.
Little risky. I would not have done the same.
Live on the edge, Mike.
But that's why it's your pick.
I live on the edge.
Seattle Seahawks, I believe they're going to do what it takes to get a deal signed with Geno Smith. I think he has shown enough. He's your guy. Whether it's franchise tag, whatever, he's your quarterback in 2023. At that point, even if you're in this mix of being able to draft a quarterback, I think you're going to pass on this class, even if kind of the 2 guys who are that blue chip caliber, the real, I keep going back to can't miss, but like in that range of best at their position for that you'll see in maybe a few years. I still think you're passing up on this quarterback class and probably I would go Brian Brzee, the defensive tackle from Clemson. There's 2 legit DTs in this class. They've already come off the board. Jalen Carter, Brian Brzee. After that, you're going to have to wait a while. Obviously, DT, a position of need for the Seattle Seahawks, literally anywhere along the defensive line, a position of need for the Seattle Seahawks. So that's where I'm going if I am.
I think that his and all right, so the Carolina Panthers are on the clock here. I'm going to talk a little bit about the Seattle Seahawks. We're going to go back to the chat for a little bit, but at number 5 overall, this is a chat selection. So you guys are up for the Carolina Panthers. You got CJ Stroud on the board. You got Will Levis on the board. You got offensive linemen on the board. You got playmakers on the board. Either side of the ball. We want to hear from you guys. You guys got to vote on who you want
PFF
to pick. Yeah, we got the PFF board. Obviously, that's a good little cheat sheet there for you. But at number 5 overall, we want to hear from you guys. So we'll give you 30 seconds to a minute to make this pick here before we move on. I like Bryan Bresee for the Seattle Seahawks. He seems like a guy where, because of just the size and athleticism, I feel like he's going to test really well. Mm-hmm. We know that the Seahawks love to go for those toolsy, big traits kind of players. I think that Bresee and his athleticism is definitely one that's going to stand out. I think his teammate is too. I think Myles Murphy's going to test really well, so I think that he's going to be on the Seahawks radar with wherever this top pick lands for them.
And the other thing I was going to say is we've mocked them corners in the past. You look at this defense, they kind of need help at every single level. Corner also being in need, but I think with what I said about the DT class, there's 2 good ones. After that, probably a big drop-off. Cornerback class, it's much more jumbled, in my opinion, at the moment in terms of top-end talent versus back-end of the first-round talent. So at that point, I think they can, with 2 first-round picks, as you see down here at number 16, you can wait on the cornerback position.
All right, let me see. I want to see what the Lions' reaction was here. Can we? We can vote here, I guess.
Let's just say it.
We'll just say it. We'll just say it. All right, sick.
Chat's going CJ Stroud.
CJ
Stroud is the pick.
CJ Stroud's the pick?
Can I even get rid of this? Close the poll? All right, perfect. I can actually get rid of it. Come on.
Will Levis is Daniel Jones. Who said
I don't want to hear it, Sav. This is our first day using the board. I don't want to hear it.
Nathan Will Levis is not Daniel Jones.
This is
also Daniel Jones was a lot better than people expected. So
okay, Stroud. Okay, everybody's going Stroud here for the Carolina Panthers. What did people? Drake said Trev's my GM.
Oh, there you go.
Detroit's 100% going QB if they're in the top 3. I kind of agree with that, Todd, but we've done so many scenarios where there's a quarterback here and Goff is playing better than we thought that he would. So maybe there's just a different reality. I wanted to paint a different picture for you guys. So ended up going with Will Levis there. Corey didn't seem to be very happy about it.
We probably did spend more money on this touchscreen than watching Deshaun Taylor. We didn't actually get to that.
Good call.
I was going to have a little take on that. That was absolutely absurd. It was like a ghost statue. I did not care for that. They got rightfully roasted.
We should have done that for Drip or Skip.
Yeah.
If I was Detroit, I would pick CJ first and get the defensive line with the second pick. I like that strategy as well. Obviously, I think that that's a good pick there. All right, so everybody's going CJ Stroud, right? CJ Stroud at number 5 overall. All right. Let me make sure that I press the right button here. CJ Stroud, the Carolina Panthers. I think that this would be obviously a pick that they would be happy with, although I don't think Stroud is this slam dunk top 5 overall prospect that some people, we do a lot of mock drafts. We do a lot of early mock drafts, and we kind of like get into this thought process where it's like, oh, okay, this is just the way that it's going to be. I think there's a lot more variance to where Stroud could end up than we're being honest with. So you can see Stroud on the screen now.
And I am curious to see how these quarterbacks ultimately come off the board. Obviously, we have them all very high on the PFF draft board because we're taking positional value into account. But you have to only go back a couple of years when Tua goes 5th. Herbert goes 6th to where you have teams passing on some at the top of the draft and not having that trade up that you usually expect and that we saw back in 2021 for the guys like Trey Lance, the guys like Zach Wilson, the top of the draft guys. So curious to see how, with 3 guys that are being considered top of the draft sort of prospects, how they do ultimately fall. At number 6, though, I'm back on the clock.
This is a fun one for you because it feels like Philly like Philly more than any other team we've ever talked about in the top 10. Goes best player available because they are also the team that is sitting here at number 31 because of their record, but because of the trade with the New Orleans Saints, obviously they're sitting here at number 6.
And when you're drafting at the top of the draft, you go rarity. You go rare traits. The guy who has obviously rare traits is the other Clemson defensive lineman, Myles Murphy. Not a finished product by any means, very much in that Trayvon Walker-esque mold of it may take him 2 or 3 years. Good news is the Eagles, with their defensive line depth, they have 2 or 3 years to wait for a guy who could turn into an elite player at his respective position. So when you're sitting there with that number 6 pick, you go premium, you swing for the fences. That's a swing for the fence.
Okay. No, I like it. I obviously mentioned Myles Murphy as a potential guy to go number 4 to Seattle. So no complaints here with Murphy going number 6 overall. I'm up here with the Arizona Cardinals.
Ruh-roh.
Uh-oh.
There we go.
Okay, there we go. Or I'm up with the Arizona Cardinals at number 7. I know they need corner. I know they're going to have cornerback needs. I know Byron Murphy is a free agent coming up, and I know that they could upgrade a corner even with Byron Murphy still on the team, but I got to go something along the trenches. I would have considered defensive line here if Bryan Bresee or Jalen Carter were still on the board. Neither of those guys are on the board at this point at number 7. So I've got to go to offensive line, and I'm going to go with Peter Skoronski here. I think that this is a really great pick for Arizona because Skoronski comes with a lot of versatility. He's a guy that could play inside out for you. Some people would say that the tackles are better than the interior situation for Arizona. And even if that's the case, you maybe could play Skoronski on the inside while you figure out tackle, or you could just start him off at tackle no matter what. However you get your best 5 out there, I guarantee you Skoronski is going to be one of them. Oh, man, I just realized Skoronski would have been a great pick for the Packers at 8.
Well, Skoronski also have to bring up Olu Fashanu, the Penn State offensive tackle, who would have probably been in the mix here for top 10. Surprisingly, not coming out. Not coming out. Olu Fashanu, possible top 10 pick, returning to Penn State. Obviously has another month to actually solidify that decision. So maybe someone may talk some sense into him and say, hey, you're passing up a lot of money here for maybe what's going to be a 9-3 season at Penn State next year. Okay, I can't hate Penn State too much. Number 8, actually, you left me the guy I wanted all along, Quentin Johnston for the Green Bay Packers.
I thought you were going to pick Will Levis.
I
thought you were going to pick Will Levis.
No, I mean, it depends on, obviously, how the Packers want to play this offseason. And a lot of that also depends on how Jordan Love looks towards the end of the season if he does end up starting a few games, because you have the fifth-year decision with him. If you are in a position to draft one of these quarterbacks and Jordan Love looks like poop, you're pulling the trigger, in my opinion, on one of these quarterbacks. Because you're not going to be, you don't think you're going to be in that sort of realm of drafting a quarterback with Aaron Rodgers still on the roster anytime soon after that. If not, though, you're playing for Aaron Rodgers coming back next year or Jordan Love's looking good. You're playing for immediate success. Immediate success is a wide receiver. Quentin Johnston, along with Christian Watson, along with Romeo Doubs, is a wide receiver core you can win with. That's a lot of speed, a lot of deep threats, a lot of vertical threats, and a lot of size to hit those guys with. Jordan Love's maybe shaky accuracy. We'll see here in the coming weeks. But, yeah, that's where I'm going from the Green Bay Packers.
No, I like Quentin Johnston a lot. I liked his potential when I watched him during the summer going into the season. But he's really impressed me with just how efficient he's been as a downfield player, not just with the athletic traits, but also the strength when going up for contested catches, as well as, man, he's been a great underneath yards after the catch player as well. And I felt like that was always in him because I saw the athleticism when he would get vertical, but we didn't see it a ton underneath. And I think that's a big reason why the stats weren't there for him going into the year, when you see people go, oh, you know, he could be a potential wide receiver 1. And then people learning about him for the first time go, where's the production? Where is it? And I just don't think he was really put in as much of a position to succeed and get the most out of his tools that we have seen this year. And I think that it's all on display. Would love to see him in that Green Bay Packers offense, no matter who the quarterback is going to be. So I got the Raiders at number 9. Chat, be on your toes. You're up at number 10. Do we think Derek Carr's still here at this point? You tell me. Set it up, because I can make the selection.
No,
okay, okay. So you don't think that he's here?
I think they have to. If you're going to keep McDaniel,
yes,
that's McDaniels. You got to trade Carr. And his contract is very trade friendly.
But he has no trade clause. He does have a no trade clause. But you can also move on from him. Like, I think he's...
Is he going to want to run it back after how bad this season
was? What is he, 30, 35 on the cap next year, and it's only about $6 million in dead cap? Yeah. So the savings are huge no matter what. You can get out of Derek Carr even if you can't trade him. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of why, that's how I set up what the Raiders are doing. But in previous scenarios, you know, before their massive overtime win that they had this past weekend, Vegas is picking somewhere in the top 4. We've had them at number 2 overall at times. And there you say, okay, well, the Raiders are picking in the top 4. They're probably picking a quarterback. But at 9, do you still think they're making a change of quarterback? Because if you do, then I know the pick.
Yeah, I think you do.
Okay, then it's got to be Will Levis. Then we're picking Will Levis here. Will Levis, I think Levis's sweet spot, if you ask me, is anywhere between 10 and 20. That's what I think the sweet spot would be for me to select a guy like Will Levis. Obviously, it's at 9, so it's on the other side of that, but it's decently close, and we're in a situation where I think that it does make sense for a team. And for as much as everybody out there might yell at me and say, like, hey, you never pick for a draft need, you don't want to be able to, you don't want to do that. When it's quarterback, sometimes you don't have a choice. It's a different animal. So, okay, chat's up at 10. Houston Texans on the clock here. We had them taking Bryce Young at number 1 overall. Not really a shortage of positions that the Texans could go here. They just need talent. So, Mike, before we get to the answer of what the chat thinks here at number 10, what about how the board has been left for them here? Anybody stand out for you if you were making this pick at 10?
I'm just trusting the board at this point in time. Now, the Nolan Smith, I believe he tore his pec.
He did.
That injury is going to throw a wrench, obviously, into what his draft stock's going to be. You're going to have to vet that come next spring. But that turns out good. Nolan Smith's the guy I'm drafting here. Freak athlete,
Okay.
plays a lot bigger than his sort of size profile. It's just, around 240 pounds. A guy's going to blow up the combine if he's able to test at that point. But yeah, Nolan Smith's the guy I'm probably going with. But Tyree Wilson, depending on what you want, obviously very different types of edge guys.
Right.
Undersized edge rusher, big power end.
Yeah, I like both potential trench angles. I like Nolan Smith. I like Tyree Wilson as potential picks for them. I also really like Paris Johnson as well, just continuing to get better along the offensive line. We know that he seems more comfortable as an offensive tackle, but he's got that guard experience, so I think that could be a selection for them as well. Who is their CB2? Am I forgetting on the other side of Stingley? Am I forgetting somebody? Because I didn't think that I was. So, you get Stingley on one side, you get Cam Smith on the other. Yeah. You get Jalen Petrie to hopefully be a little bit more reliable as a slot defender. All of a sudden, that's a nice secondary.
Yeah.
I like the thought process of that as well. What's the chat going with, though?
So chat's pretty split here between Jordan Addison and Kele Ringo, but it looks like we're going Jordan Addison.
Jordan Addison.
All right, Jordan Addison getting an offensive weapon.
Can't hate it.
Yep, right there. Getting an offensive weapon there for Bryce Young. I like Jordan Addison, man.
Yeah, I mean, that's, again, I said trust the boards. We're in the range where,
he's close,
depending on the position you want, they're all in similar grade-wise. So Jordan Addison, probably your best all-around wide receiver in this draft at the moment. So can't hate it. Jay Vatt wants Bo Nix.
Oh, yeah. But Jay Vatt wants Bo Nix. Jordan, I don't know anything about the Texans. Hey, sometimes neither did the Texans. Jay Vatt really wants Bo Nix.
Not a lot of Texans fans.
Not happening. Drake says, see, Trev gets it. Wow, Drake's just my biggest fan out here. We love
Houston is about 8 hours from Texas Tech, though.
Oh, what? So you think it's going to be like a hometown pick?
Well, he said take the Texas Tech guy. It's like, that's not a hometown pick at all. They're on opposite ends.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Nathan said we got to go tackle here. I talked about that a little bit with Paris Johnson Jr. Man, you guys are getting in it. I don't care. Bo Nix, don't care about you. Jay Vatt's he might be chat champ with this if we get some Bo Nix love in here. Man, we got a ton of votes for this one. Need to protect Bryce. All right, there's another offensive tackle. Ringo Addison, Paris Johnson, says Balin. R.I.P. Joe Rogan. Don't know what happened there, but all right. Well, we ended up making the Jordan Addison selection. Hopefully, Chad doesn't burn down too much for that because I do think it's a good pick. I think it's going to help the Texans no matter what. You're up at number 11 with the Jacksonville Jaguars. That is how that works, isn't it? Boy, I just talked about Paris Johnson Jr. being a guy who's got versatility to play offensive tackle or on the interior. I know the Jaguars have invested some money in Ken Robinson, especially on one of those sides, but I don't think the offensive line is as good as it could be. I kind of go to that direction. With both wide receivers already off the board for the Jags, I would think about maybe getting another playmaker in there, but Addison's off the board, Quentin Johnson's off the board. I like the idea of an offensive lineman here. I like Peter Skoronski as well for the Jags, but obviously he's off the board, but I'm going to go Paris Johnson Jr. I think his versatility is fantastic, and I think he'll be a starter no matter what for the Jags on day one.
Yeah, and obviously I will say they do have Walker Little coming probably into, I guess this is year three for him. Would be year 3 for him.
Yep.
You would hope that he would be able to take the next step, but you haven't seen enough from him to rely on that. Cam Robinson, though, you can't franchise him again. You can't keep doing it.
It's hard.
Can't keep kicking that can with how much they're paying him.
It's hard for me to look at what Trevor Lawrence did this past weekend and say, we're set along the offensive line.
Yeah.
I'm at a point where it's just, I'm drafting so much talent along the offensive line. For the next couple of years with Trevor Lawrence, I do not want offensive line to be the reason why you wouldn't trust him, why the franchise isn't going where they need to. I don't care, man. I'm going offensive line for the Jags.
And I do think ideally if one of Jordan Addison or Quentin Johnson was there, that would be the pick, in my opinion. But obviously in this draft, neither are. All right, number 12, Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm going to go a little down the board here. Not too far down the board here, but it's a guy that I think fits Mike Tomlin's defense very well and what he's capable of doing, would slide in very well next to Minka Fitzpatrick. Very similar skill set, in fact. Very similar role that he played. It's Brian Branch, the safety, Alabama. Well, he plays slot there, but slot's becoming a more and more important position in the NFL today. One of the best tackling DBs you'll ever see. Just a football player through and through. Kind of like how Minka Fitzpatrick was. There wasn't a 40 time or test or a number that you could point to that was saying that's why he's the dude. You just watch play football and say he's going to be good.
Well, kind of played myself here with the Detroit Lions, didn't I? Picked Will Anderson at number 3. I was hoping maybe we'd get Will Levis here at 13. Would have been the dream.
Might have to go Anthony Richardson.
I'm not going Richardson at 13. Not at this point. No. I know a lot of people love Richardson, but I'm not going to go. I'm not going to go with him at 13. There's just so much that he needs to get better at. Talent is obviously through the roof, but there's not a ton of consistency with his game there. You like McKee a lot. You got McKee at 17.
But even 13 is a stretch for me from McKee. It's close.
I would agree. Is there another playmaker that we could go with?
And I do think after McKee's season, there's a good chance he comes back to school because he could raise his stock if he transfers to Notre Dame.
You just traded T.J. Hawkinson. Could go Michael Mayer. Don't hate that. Could go with another outside corner, I feel like. Could go Keely Ringo. Been on a lot of good traits there with Ringo.
If they're keeping their defensive staff intact, that's where I'd probably go because they play a ton of man, a ton of press.
I think they are going to change their defensive staff, but I am going to go with Keely here. I'm going to go Keely Ringo. So we're not going to force a QB selection, even though it kind of goes against what I just said when I made the argument for the Las Vegas Raiders. Doing that at number 9, I think it was a little bit more reasonable for Will Levis than it would be for McKee or Anthony Richardson here at number 13. So no quarterback for the Lions in this one.
No wide receiver either.
Very interested to hear what Lions fans think of it. You got 2 good football players, but is that what you want? You're up at number 14.
It's got to keep going back to with the Colts if they're drafting in this range. I'm going to go Tanner McKee here. Because
so this is why you convinced me to not pick Tanner McKee.
Yeah, because the Colts are desperate. The Lions aren't desperate. The Colts are desperate. Like, this has to be the time that they pull that trigger, unless you're going to go out and get Aaron Rodgers via trade, which I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. Tanner McKee's probably the best you're going to do in this class.
For the Falcons at 15, this is where the chat picks. Okay, I'm very interested to see who the chat is going to pick for the Falcons at number 15 because there's a lot of different options. And honestly, these 3 picks at the very top, these are guys that I'm looking at who could fit perfectly for what the Falcons need. Yeah. They need pass rush bad. Okay, so these are 2 talented pass rushers, the athleticism of Nolan Smith, the uniqueness, the size, athleticism, the build, the tools of Tyree Wilson. But also, I think they need another corner opposite of A.J. Terrell. And A.J. Terrell hasn't had as good of a year this year as he did last year, but that's okay. I'm not super worried about him because corner is always such a position where there's high variance. Season to season, week to week, play to play. It's just so tough. You just want a guy who's talented in there. So not writing off A.J. Terrell in any way, shape, or form. But if you get another corner on the opposite side, I think it just elevates everything. So I don't know. What are you thinking about 15 as the chat still votes on this one?
Well, I'm still looking at 16, knowing that I'm going to get one of either Nolan Smith or Tyree Wilson. I'm very happy if I'm a Seahawks fan there.
Yes.
But yeah, if you're the Atlanta Falcons, the guy I'd probably look at is Cam Smith. Okay. I would love a cornerback duo of A.J. Terrell and Cam Smith. I think that could be a game changer for you.
Man, I think this board is perfect. Even if you go a little bit further, you got Andre Carter, you got Jared Verse. I'm a big fan of Jared Verse as well. I think there's just so many great options for the Falcons here at number 15. Which way are they leaning? Guys?
It's like a dead tie between Tyree Wilson and Nolan Smith.
Okay, It is. It's back and forth. So they're going edge rusher no matter what. Does the hometown feel with Nolan Smith go into this at all?
I don't know. I don't think you should draft that way, but it's not the worst thing in the world. If you have a similar grade, that would tip the scales.
All right, who would you pick? You're PFF's lead draft analyst. Who would you pick?
I just said Cam Smith. I think Cam Smith's who I pick.
Well, no. You got to go between the chat. Yeah.
See, I love Nolan Smith to Seattle. Atlanta, you already have Arnold Ebiketie is not a run-first type of edge.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
You know, Nolan Smith's good against the run, but you have 2 real 250 and under edge rushers in Ebiketie in Nolan Smith. Probably want 1 power guy on the edge. It's usually how you want to build it. So I'd go Tyree Wilson.
So let's take it. All right, we'll go Tyree Wilson for the Falcons. At number 15 with the chat's pick there, and then you were up at number 16.
Nolan Smith.
Kind of just spoiled what
giving them the Cliff Averill, the Chris Clemens, that wide 9 edge rusher, that speed off the edge, that's all electricity that you have to account for. I think that would be a dream scenario for Seattle.
Okay. All right. I'm up with the Los Angeles Chargers at number 17. Cam Smith could be a nice pick for them. I obviously really hope J.C. Jackson comes back and plays a lot better than he did at the beginning of this year.
But man, I don't know if you can rely on with how serious that injury was and with how bad he looked at the beginning of the year.
That is tough. Yeah. That is tough. I like Asante Samuel Jr. Michael Davis has been playing well, but I think that they'll probably move on from him at the end of the season. Just feels that way. Cam Smith's definitely in the conversation. I'd love them to get beefier up front, though, on the defensive front. Like,
let's go DTs.
Yeah, let's see.
DTs.
See, go D-line. See, I would love Siaka Ika. I like this pick here for them. 17's.
It's a touch high, but he's the only one in that mold that you're considering in the first.
He is that mold. Oh, we got D-line here too. Oh, so got to take this off. Jalen Hyatt's hilarious. I'm not going to pick Jalen Hyatt at 17, but like Jalen Hyatt is exactly what we were talking about last year with Jameson Williams potentially going to the Chargers. It still feels like they need that.
Yeah.
It still feels like they need that downfield.
If Kayshon Boutte had developed the way kind of from freshman to sophomore to junior, that would be the perfect pick, but he just did not look like the same guy this year. So
I think I got to trust the board.
Go corner?
Yeah, I think I got to trust the board and go Cam Smith here. I'd love to pick Siaka Ike. I think he's on the radar for them at number 17. Both those guys fit, but you trust the board at this point. You need corner. Go get a good corner. I like Cam Smith.
All right, 18. New England Patriots. I mean, the board. It's the guy at the top of the board. It's the guy.
Oh,
right here.
Come on.
It really is. It's Bill Belichick isn't changing his stripes anytime soon. I think we've seen that with the way they've run their offense post Tom Brady. They're not doing a ton differently schematically in terms of like trying to modernize, trying to spread out that offense. No, it's kind of the same. And if it's going to be the same, you're not going to find a better person and a better fit for that offense than Michael Mayer. They're just not. I mean, can do a lot of the same things as Rob Gronkowski did. Now, I'm not even close to putting him in the same conversation as Rob Gronkowski, but that role he can fill as well as any tight end in this draft.
Tampa Bay Buccaneers up at 19. Boy, do we have some prospects here. There's just so much up in the air with what the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to be this offseason. Is Tom Brady even going to be there? Do they trust Kyle Trask enough? Blaine Gabbert's still on the team. I don't think Blaine Gabbert's probably going to take over for him, but what do you do there? Shaq Barrett's coming off of an Achilles injury, so that's going to be tough for him to get back to form as a pass rusher there. I lean pass rusher at this point, but they've gone defensive line with Joe Tryon-Shoyinka, Logan Hall the last couple of drafts. I think they like their defensive line, but if you don't have Shaq Barrett, do you have that guy that can really get after the quarterback the way that you need to? Corner, Jamel Dean, Sean Murphy-Bunting, they're both unrestricted free agents, but I still feel like they're going to do enough to get Jamel Dean back. Linebacker, they're probably not going to go linebacker. Offensive line, I look at that as well. Boy, I think Paris Johnson Jr. would be a perfect pick for them at number 19 if he makes it there, but I don't think he's going to make it there. I think Broderick Jones is where I'm going. I think that makes the most sense. Obviously, we got to update this. We got to get Oli out of there because he's not going to be in the conversation. Broderick Jones is just he's a super athletic dude, but is he going to be able to get on the field right away? Is he going to be able to play on the interior right away?
Got Osiris Torrance.
You get hit
a little high, but I mean,
it is.
But is he worse than Kenyon Green or Zion Johnson, who were drafted higher than that last year?
No.
I think he's in a similar vein to those prospects.
I think he is, but I'm going to go Jared Verse. I'm going to go Jared Verse here. I'm just going to go pass rusher. You can never have too many pass rushers. Like you can never have too many good offensive linemen.
And they have options on offensive line. You drafted one in the second last year. Yeah, he sucks as a rookie, but it's because he went from right tackle at Central Michigan to left guard. It's like that was never going to hit the ground running and be like, wow, great left guard.
Right.
So you got to give him maybe a little time, maybe one more year. If you're going to take interior line, I'd probably save it to somewhere in defense.
Yeah, so pass rusher, that's the first round position that I want to go with. It was between Broderick Jones and Jared Verse. But now we got Washington on the clock at number 20, as we have done. Every 5 picks.
It's yours.
This is a chat pick. Washington. Man, they can go a variety of different directions. Defense finally playing a little bit better. That defensive line's getting stout, and they're getting Chase Young back as well. Missing William Jackson, who's no longer on the team at corner. I think that could be a big-time option for them there. Got Cam Curl in the secondary, somebody that they love at that spot. No linebacker's a little bit of a weakness. Maybe some playmakers, maybe some guys up front, but I'm interested to hear who the chat is going to pick in this one. My mind immediately goes to corner, but it's not like there's a corner. I know you like Jalen Jones. Would you like Jalen Jones as a fit here for Washington?
I think so. I think he's just got very, very instinctual corner, very good in off coverage, depending on who their DC is next year. Obviously, I think Ron Rivera's done it enough to keep his job at this point, and if that's the case, I think he would be a good fit for that scheme.
All right. I mean, we've got a lot of other corners here as well. Jalen Jones, Christian Gonzalez, Joey Porter Jr. I think would be big for him. But
obviously, this board's a touch old. He would be higher than that on the new board.
But it kind of depends, right? It goes back to what you said about, is the defensive staff going to be the same? Because the reasons why they got rid of William Jackson is what? Because he was just too much of a press man corner. Can Joey Porter be somebody who could succeed when they're not playing press man schemes, when they're not playing
TBD.
press man deployment? So you have to think about that as well. Is the chat leaning one way or the other here for Washington?
Chat is breaking away from the draft board, and they're going Joey Porter Jr.
Okay, so they do like Joey Porter Jr. Now, this has been, like you said, you mentioned Joey Porter Jr., if this board was updated a little bit more to present day,
He'd be higher.
He'd be a little bit higher. So we'll go Joey Porter Jr. here at number 20, which puts me back on the clock for the Baltimore Ravens.
To me, I think there's 2 picks here. 2.
Okay, I'm going to guess them. Is Bijan Robinson one of them?
No.
Oh.
But I wouldn't hate that.
Oh. Who do we have at wide receiver? Jackson Smith and Jigba, Josh Downs, Keishon Butte. Man,
I just don't love.
I just don't love it. It doesn't give him a skill. Maybe Jackson Smith and Jigba if you believe in him enough, but is that really a skill set that they don't already have? Who are you guys? Who
to me, the names were either Andre Carter, because to me he's one of the most intriguing developmental guys. Coming from Army, freak athletically at 6'7", like 34-inch arms, has this unique skill set, and also like didn't get off seasons to really weight train, because in the off seasons he's actually going through Army training, and he said he lost like 15 pounds every off season that he had to put back on during the regular season. So what he could be with like a real year-round sort of training for the NFL, I'm very intrigued by. And the other one's Broderick Jones. I think at this point, with Ronnie Stanley's injury history, with Morgan Moses on the other side, with his age,
right, you
want to keep O-line strength. That's the fuel, that's the foundation of this offense. That's where I would probably one of those 2.
I think I'm going to go Broderick Jones then.
Do it.
I think I'm going to stay strong with Broderick Jones along the offensive line. We're 20 picks in. Actually, I should have done this before. Should have recapped it a little bit here for you guys, because we're 20 picks into this thing. Probably should have done it at the halfway point. But for anybody who's joining the show who didn't catch the very beginning, this is how the mock draft went to this point. We got Bryce Young at number 1 overall to the Houston Texans. Jalen Carter went number 2 to the Chicago Bears. Had Will Anderson go at number 3, no quarterback for the Detroit Lions. Brian Brzee at number 4 to the Seahawks. Carolina Panthers got C.J. Stroud. Philadelphia Eagles got themselves Miles Murphy, the edge rusher from Clemson. Arizona Cardinals, the offensive tackle from Northwestern, Peter Skoronski. Mike, handpicked for the Green Bay Packers, wide receiver Quentin Johnson from TCU. I gave the Las Vegas Raiders Will Levis at number 9. The chat took Jordan Addison to pair Jordan Addison with Bryce Young there at the top. Paris Johnson Jr. going to the Jags. Brian Branch to the Steelers. Keely Ringo to the Detroit Lions. For any Detroit Lions fans who are joining, that means no quarterback to this point for the Lions. Colts got Tanner McKee at 14. Tyree Wilson, the pass rusher from Texas Tech, going 15 to the Falcons. Nolan Smith to the Seahawks. Cam Smith to the Chargers. Michael Mayer to the Patriots. Very typical Mike. And then we had Jared Verse to the Buccaneers. Joey Porter Jr. via the chat to the Washington Commanders. Then I just took Broderick Jones to the Baltimore Ravens. Who got a 22?
This one's tough. I would ideally have wanted Broderick Jones, if I'm the New York Jets.
Yeah, that would have been solid.
I do think.
We got any other offensive tackles?
Anton Harrison is in that mix. He's probably a few years away, is the problem with Harrison. He's just not quite strong enough to where if you're drafting him in the first round,
it's an issue.
It's going to look like what Max Mitchell's kind of looked like, where it's like, yeah, he does a lot of things well, but when you have a power end, you're just going to get exposed. You're going to have to give that guy some help. So I'm not sure it's helping you right out the gate. If I'm looking defensive side of the ball, guy I'm looking to is Trenton Simpson.
Okay, linebacker, okay.
I want to give them, it's either Trenton Simpson or Antonio Johnson. They're sort of similar players, right? They're kind of both slot hybrids. Antonio Johnson, I probably is never going to be a true box linebacker. He's just doesn't have the mass. But around the line of scrimmage, if you kind of have him extended as like an apex player, he can do that really well. Simpson could fit a similar mold. Like he could play slot in the NFL as well, but also I think is a little bit better if you're looking for between the tackles linebacker. So I'm going to go Trenton Simpson, hoping they get their version of Fred Warner.
All right, Trenton Simpson, number 22. Oh man, I want an offensive lineman for the Bengals.
Yeah,
don't have one left.
You got Osiris Torrance, but I think your
issues are a tackle.
Your issues.
That's the problem. Your issues are left tackle, and Lyle Collins hasn't played well throughout the entire year either. Man, where else could the Bengals really? I mean, I might have liked Trenton Simpson, but their linebackers are fine. Defensive line's obviously playing great. Defense overall, I think, is playing really well.
I want to go Bijan, I know it.
You could cut another running back on the roster, or running backs, and reinvest that money elsewhere on the roster. Maybe like a proven left tackle. Yeah, you could do that.
Get rid of Joe Mixon's money.
How much is Mixon?
I was going to say, what's
how much is he set to make?
I haven't even looked
Mixon is set to make $13 million next year, $5 million dead cap hit.
Here's
so
the thing, though. Here's the thing.
That's a starter.
They're not going to cut Mixon.
Yeah,
they're not.
He's too big of a fan.
They're just not.
They're not
how the
going
Bengals
to. I'm just saying you could save $8 million next year, which is a proven starter.
That's one.
At edge, at corner,
What's
somewhere along the O-line.
What's Tyler Boyd's contract? I
think either 2023 or 2024. He's also getting a little older.
Mm-hmm.
That would be hot, too, because they're
JSND.
talking about, like, oh, are you going to be able to pay Chase and Higgins? Well, if you draft Jackson Smith and Jigba.
But Njigba is really, he's Tyler Boyd. Like, that is.
I know.
That's who he will
but
be.
Maybe better.
Yeah.
The boat's a boat, but the mystery box could be anything.
Could
even be a boat.
Could even be Jackson Smith and Jigba.
We'll go with Jackson Smith
I like that
here.
Fan favorite, too.
Ohio
State, locally.
Ah, that's true.
They have been
the
partial
jersey
to that,
the jersey
Yeah,
sales.
Billy Price got picked for that reason.
Okay, well, then
Hubbard,
now I kind of want to take it back. You're up with the New York Giants at number 24. Chat, be on your toes. You're picking for the Broncos at number 25, which is a tall task. You guys got to fix the Broncos in one pick. That's your responsibility.
All right, we're looking. See, I would love Josh Downs there, but he's a clone of Wandale. You can't have two Wandales.
You know who I like a lot?
Who do you like here?
Not here, but you're just looking at wide receivers.
The guy I was also thinking of was Darnell Washington, who upon the new draft board will be a lot higher than 80th.
Yeah, but hold on, though. What do you think about it? How are the Tennessee Titans going to draft Darnell Washington if the New York Giants draft Darnell Washington?
I got to think ahead to that. But that's a guy who's in that mix. I think if Luke Musgrave would have stayed healthy this year, he would have been in that mix for a late first-round type of tight end. After that, we're going to have to maybe go down this board. The one I think is just a bite-the-bullet investment is I think I'm going to go Osiris Torrance here. I think left guard, you have, what's-his-face, the former Oregon guy playing there who's just been abysmal. I can't think of his name off the top of my head, though.
Shane Lemieux, right?
Yeah, Shane Lemieux. Osiris Torrance, slot him in there. Don't complain too much. Yeah, it's back-to-back first-rounders on the O-line, but that's kind of been where they've won. And, that's how they're trying to win games this year. Ideally, they're going to be in the market for a quarterback at some point, but at this point in the draft, I'm not taking like an Anthony Richardson and hoping and praying if I'm the New York Giants. Possibly, but do I go Anthony Richardson here at 24 for the Giants?
Anthony Richardson? He's probably going to make this first round one way or another.
I think we're going to go Anthony Richardson. I think I talked myself into it. Oh, he's not even on the draft.
Oh, you don't even have him on there?
Not even on there, no.
Wow. Exposed.
Well, we can't draft
Exposed.
him. So we're going to Osiris Torrance.
Exposed. Shoot. The chat might have been trying to pick Richardson for the Broncos at 25. All right, so that's the excuse why we don't have Richardson in the first round. Don't have him on the big board. Got to fix that after the show.
Yeah.
So while the chat is sitting here for the Denver Broncos, you guys are up here picking for the Broncos here at number 25. Got a lot of different options, I guess, for the Broncos. I've liked Trenton Simpson for them, but Trenton Simpson obviously off the board here. Defense are pretty much set throughout the rest of that. Offensive line could get a little bit better. Maybe you take running back if you want somebody to spell Javonte Williams, but you got to remember Javonte's coming back. Do you like any of the wide receivers that are still there? You got Greg Dulcich at tight end, so I know that you like that option as well. But kind of a lot of different places that you could go with Denver's selection here at 25. But you know what you can't pick? It's Anthony Richardson. I'll just say this. And I was about to say this before. A guy who I really liked watching live. I like Parker Washington.
Yeah.
I like him a lot.
And he's unique.
I like him more than Downs and Butte.
He's unique in his size, right? I mean, he's like a running back size. He's that Debo. What is he? 210, 5'11", something like. He's a running back-esque with ball skills. That plays.
I might like him more than Jackson Smith and Jigba.
Ooh.
Yeah, I know that's spicy. Look, we're getting to some final regular season evals, so I'll be able to either say it with my chest or not say it at all soon here. Is the chat leaning one way or another for the Denver Broncos?
We're ready to go. They're replacing Bradley Chubb and getting Felix off the edge from Kansas State.
I like Felix, man. This is somebody who I was a big fan of coming out of summer scouting. Really like the combination of build for him. He is a true 4-3 defensive end, a guy who can do a lot of different stuff where he is a 5 technique player, but I think he gives good athleticism for also the strength profile that he brings on those early downs.
And if you're Denver, now you have Baron Browning, Nick Benito, Randy Gregory.
Yeah.
You have the most athletic edge group in the NFL. I know the Cowboys have something to say about that, but it's that'd be lightning off the edge.
Yeah,
All right. Tennessee Titans. I'm on the clock.
Yes, you are.
Man, I would love to go corner with how much, the Virginia Tech
Caleb Farley.
Caleb Farley. I was going to say Caleb Fuller. I was like, that's not right.
They got
Virginia
young
Tech
corners, right? They got
struggled. So I'd love to go someone like Jalen Jones, but
they have
too many options. They have too many options there to really say, I'm going to go there. Let's go edge, though. Let's go. Harold Landry has kind of, obviously coming back from the injury, don't know where you're going to get from him. Bud Dupree's probably gone after this season. Some speed off the edge. We're going to go B.J. Ojulari to be that athletic guy who can come around on stunts and win for you.
Okay, all right. I don't hate it. I like it. Dallas Cowboys at 27. Cut Zeke, let Pollard walk, draft Bijan Robinson. Like, he's right there. It's right in front of you. I don't know what else you guys want from me. Honestly, that's kind of on the table for me. I'm trying to think of what else Dallas would really need at 27. I love the Tyler Smith selection. The offensive line's obviously getting older, but I think getting him in there on the offensive line was the new juice that they needed. Linebacker, sure, but do we have any linebackers? What's linebacker?
Linebacker looks rough. Drew Sanders, maybe.
Oh, yeah, Drew Sanders, Jack Hamill, DeMarvion Overshown. No,
it's not a great.
Probably not.
The interesting ones to me here, what did we do? We took a few. Interesting ones to me, Josh Downs. Obviously just a little more juice to that receiving core.
Yeah.
And then the other one was Siaki Ika.
That's the one that I was thinking of.
Yeah.
Honestly, that was the one that was really standing out to me. Getting a bigger impact player at an interior spot. Do they want somebody Christian Gonzalez opposite Trayvon Diggs? I hate that either. We'll go Ika.
Okay.
I'm going to go Ika here.
All right.
Build the boys up front. We'll go with Siaki Ika. Very uniquely built defensive tackle, a guy who looks like he's just going to be a bowling ball type who can only be a space eater, nose tackle, but he gives you a lot more in the pass rushing game as well. So very quick off the line, has very quick hands, knows how to disengage and really get upfield. So he's a guy who gives you plus pass rushing as well for a player who was also pretty stout on the interior.
All right, Buffalo Bills, we're doing it. Bijan Robinson.
Ooh.
I know they went James Cook last year. I know they've been obsessed with drafting running backs. But Bijan really is a different cat than what they've drafted. And he can split out, be your slot wide receiver should you need that in your offense. He can do that. He's just the versatile weapon that is going to make defenses count for him. That's just going to kind of, that cherry on top that the Buffalo Bills, like, they're good. They're good at a lot of different places. They could use O-line, yes, but that's a guy that, again, changes sort of how defenses have to account for this offense.
I'm going to save the last chat pick because I think it's supposed to be right here. But I'm going to save the last chat pick for the Philadelphia Eagles. So just so you guys know, I want you to have full reign on whatever you want to pick for the Philadelphia Eagles. If you remember, we picked for the Eagles Myles Murphy at number 6. So with the board, as it kind of comes to a final pick of this mock draft, we will have you guys cap it off with the pick for the Eagles at number 31. Miami Dolphins will be picking right now, but they forfeited their selection by not getting Tom Brady. Vikings, they're going to need corner help. They're going to need secondary help. I think this is a really good spot for Christian Gonzalez. I really do. Christian Gonzalez, I think he's a really talented cornerback. I was not sold on his tape going into the season. A big reason why is because I didn't think that he made enough impacts on the ball, honestly. Like, I just didn't feel like he had those instincts to know exactly where the ball was, really make an impact. But he's got good athleticism. He's got good size. This year, I think he's got 4 interceptions. I think he's top 5 in the Pac-12 in forced incompletions as well. So that seems to be coming along. He really seems to have taken a next step this year. Could go a lot higher than this, but I know the Minnesota Vikings would love to get a really talented corner in there as well. So him fitting at 29, I think this is an easy one for me.
All right, Kansas City Chiefs. We are going to go Anton Harrison. I think this is about the right spot for Harrison.
Okay.
Going to be a little bit of developmental, but he has the athletic traits to do so. They obviously need someone to step up at right tackle. I think that's where I'm going if I'm them. And they're obviously no strangers to Sooner linemen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's very true. It's very true. I like Harrison, man. I remember watching his tape during the summer, and I was like, he moves so well. But the anchor ability, can he get stronger? And that is a prerequisite for playing tackle in the NFL. You've got to be able to hold up. And right now, I do agree with you. I think he's a couple years away, which is a little bit concerning. I'm not going to lie, because Harrison has been starting since his freshman year at Oklahoma. It's not like he's brand new, right? He's been doing this for a while. So us saying, and I agree with you, that he might be a couple of years away, a little bit worrisome, because it's not like he hasn't played a ton kind of couple of years away. It's we're still a little bit hesitant with the strength profile. So I think that's kind of where we are with Harrison. But back into the first round for an offensive lineman who moves as well as he does, who can counter as well as he does, I think it's the right spot. Puts the chat up at number 31. Like I said, the Philadelphia Eagles picked Myles Murphy at number 6. As you guys can see there. And we want to hear from you. Who are they taking at the very end of the draft? This is a hilarious pick, because it's not only at the end of the draft, but it's to a team that doesn't have a lot of weaknesses. Does not have a lot of weaknesses at all. And if they did have a weakness, we addressed it already. We gave him Myles Murphy. So very interested to see who the chat's going to pick for them at 31. Do you have anywhere that you would go with them?
Two guys is probably where I would go. One is Antonio Johnson.
Okay.
Obviously, I believe C.J. Gardner-Johnson, this is last year, under contract.
No, it won't be.
TBD if they sign him or not. Yeah, I think they will want to re-sign him. But even then, safeties probably, if there's a weak link in the defense, that would be where the depth is kind of meh. Mm-hmm. And then Josh Downs. Fast Batman's great. He's fast, for sure. He's not a complete wide receiver whatsoever. Josh Downs can be. Same role, similar speed profile, with just a lot better ball skills, with a lot more dynamism after the catch. Josh Downs is where I would go if I were them.
James Bradbury's on a one-year deal, obviously playing very well. Not sure if they're going to do corner, but I think Garrett Williams, and he suffered an injury this year, but Garrett Williams could be an option for them to play opposite Darius Slay. I would like that thought process. If Christian Gonzalez was here, I think that I would like that fit for them as well. Clark Phillips, I feel like, has the identity of Philly's defense right now. Do you want him as a full-time outside cornerback? Somebody else who I would consider in this spot? Honestly, Devon Witherspoon. I like Witherspoon a lot. I think that he has taken a huge step up. He's the Illinois corner who they will put him on an island on the outside, and he thrives in it. He has been grading off really well for us this year, so I think that he's in the conversation there as well. All right, we gave the chat a little bit of time. They lean in anywhere? They lean in a certain player?
Yeah, it's pretty split here, but I think they want to let Miles Sanders walk and take Jahmyr Gibbs.
Oh, wow.
All right, where's Gibbs?
We're going down.
Where's Gibbs? Well, I mean, you can.
He's with Anthony Richardson. He's not on the big board.
No, he's got to be on the big board. He's got to be on the big
75.
board. 75.
We took Jahmyr Gibbs.
He's 75. 75. There we go, folks. Full first round mock draft in the books. I don't know if I have to do a full recap here. I'll recap what the chat picked. Chat, you guys had the power over the Carolina Panthers. Took C.J. Stroud there. Same thing for the Houston Texans. Gave him Jordan Addison. At 15, you gave the Falcons Tyree Wilson. At 20, you gave the Washington Commanders Joey Porter Jr. 25, Felix Enudike Uzoma to the Denver Broncos. And then at 31, Jahmyr Gibbs to the Philadelphia Eagles. A lot of fan favorite picks here from the chat. Which I love. I mean, I thought the chat did a very nice job. This is a lot of fun going back and forth between me and you, and then getting the chat involved. I think we're gonna have to keep this. I think we're gonna have to keep
more
this,
draft time.
Yeah, I think we'll have to keep this this format moving forward. I don't know if we're moving back to the desk. I actually don't. Now that I'm thinking about it, I don't think we have a camera over on the desk, so we're gonna stick here. We're gonna stick here for the final question of the day answer. Quinn, do we get any sort of hint at all for question of the day? Mike looked it up and he said it's not 2013.
Not 13.
It was a long time ago.
Long time ago.
Let's go back then. Who else was in the Jamarcus Russell year? Was that 06? Was Jamarcus Russell 06?
07.
Was he 07?
I think it was 07.
Then was Matt Ryan that same year then? Or was Matt Ryan?
Matt Ryan was No, Matt Ryan was not the same year.
Not the same year.
No.
So I'm going to go with the Jamarcus Russell year, whichever one that was.
I think it was 07.
I don't want to say it was 06.
No, there's no way Quinn would say it was a long time ago and then it was only 2007.
That's 16 years ago. That's a pretty long time.
16 years ago is a long time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because that is the answer.
There we go.
It is 2007?
Trent Edwards had 7. Matt Moore had 3. Jamarcus Russell had 2.
There we go. Jamarcus Russell year. Do it.
No.
16.
Look, you figured it was either going to be the EJ year or then the Jamarcus Russell year.
Because you had someone every year between them that was like...
You figured that was going to be the case.
Yeah.
All right. That was a lot of fun. Hope you guys had a lot of fun as well. Enjoyed using the new touchscreen. Let us know if you guys enjoyed the visuals for it. This is a lot of fun for us to use. It was a lot easier for us to use. It's pretty interactive as well. And we're glad that you guys were able to get into the mock draft madness too. This, of course, is not going to be the only mock draft that we're going to do on this show. I got a thing that we'll probably be firing up one some way, shape, or form either next week, the week after that, because we're creeping towards draft season. Mike would probably tell you we're in draft season. Yeah. December?
It's draft season
That's
for me.
fair to say.
I mean, we got final evals. I'm cranking up the tape this weekend. Can't wait.
I'm excited to see not just how the draft order shapes up, but also the conviction that you and I are going to have doing these mock drafts as we get to these final evals of guys. Because we're going to be able to, at this point in time, going off a lot of course, what we've seen on tape from the summer, what we've seen this year, but also it's a lot of like, hey, here's what we're hearing from the league. This is what we're hearing the league thinks on these guys. But we're soon going to get to a point where we can put our stamp on it as well. Do we have a chat champ before we get out of here for the day?
We do. Patrick McCampbell. He's always in the chat, always hyping up the chat. And
Big Pat!
They're going to need him. They're going to need him for trivia tomorrow.
Pat.
I know you're jonesing for it. We got to get back in the win column. We got to get back in the win column tomorrow. It's going to be a lot of fun. If you guys were tuning in for the first time for the mock draft, watch the Thursday show. Thursday shows are a lot of fun. It's me and Mike versus you guys in the chat for trivia. We've got a yearly record that we're keeping score of, and we got to get back in the win column. I know. We gave one up last week.
2 weeks ago.
We got 2 weeks ago because of Thanksgiving, but we're getting back in the win column tomorrow. There's nothing you guys are going to do to stop us. I'm Trevor Sikkema. That is Mike Renner. For everybody in the production portal, thank you guys so much for watching It's Just Football. We'll see you right here, same time tomorrow. See you guys then.
It's not about politics, it's about football.
This is a simple game.
We're going to run the ball, and we're going to pass the ball. We're just going to play football, really.
How good of a football player are you?
Not just get it and try to spin it. That's all.
I just love the game.
It really is the best time of the year.